I am Nancy Schertzing, and I'm your host for today's webinar. I'm joined by my two colleagues from the Circle of Restorative Initiatives for Maryland, the CRI, and you'll get to meet them in just a second. And I wanted to let everybody know that this is our small but mighty session on restorative, or on the restorative conference that CRI is hosting on November 14th. And I wanted to bring this information to you because this is such a wealth. There is such a wealth of information here. And if you are an educator who maybe has a small budget for training, I think this is going to be something you'll be very interested in learning about. So we welcome you and we invite you to kind of sit back and share with us some of the information about our CRI session. This is our third in our series of lunchtime webinars on restorative approaches in education. Our guests today are from the Circle of Restorative Initiatives for Maryland, and just want to let you know that this is an organization that actually it began in 2009, but the CRI formed because of a conference that was hosted in 2006. Jen had a part in that, and Kathy also is very well versed in the CRI history, and you'll get to hear a little bit more about it. But what we are right now is a 501c3 that is really, we are a conglomeration, if you will, of people from a whole bunch of different venues where we are using restorative justice, restorative approaches, restorative practices. We include people from schools, from the juvenile justice system, from the Maryland courts, from law enforcement. And this is something that I think hopefully you'll enjoy hearing more about. So our guests today are Dr. Jennifer Langdon. And Jen, you may be able to see her on the screen. I'm not sure if she's showing up or not, but she will when we speak. She is the department chair of sociology, anthropology, and criminal justice at Towson University. Jen is also a founding member of the CRI and also one of the founding members anyway, of the Conflict Resolution Center of Baltimore County. She can talk a little bit more about her history and her role. I will tell you that in the CRI, she has been everything to everyone. And so if you're looking for background and real nitty gritty on the CRI, she's our person for today. Along with Jen and myself, we have Kathy Rockefeller, who is here today. Kathy is the she is the Anne Arundel County Public Schools district-wide school climate specialist, and her focus has been on implementing restorative practices and really integrating it throughout the Anne Arundel County public schools. Kathy also comes to us from a mediation center. She was director of the Mediation and Conflict Resolution Center in Howard County for 11 years. And she has a really interesting story about what brought her to her current position, which I'm sure she'll share with us in just a minute. Kathy is here today because she has been integral in organizing our speakers for the conference on November 14th. So we'll talk more about that in just a sec. I will ask my panelists, and Jen, if I could start with you, that would be perfect. Can you talk a little bit about when the CRI first started in 2006 or whenever you really began? What was restorative justice like in Maryland?
Well, my story about the 2006 conference, which kind of speaks to this, is that I was not part of putting it together. It was actually three people who put it together. Charles Tracy, who is no longer with us, right, Kath? As well as Betty Hoover, who has also passed on. And then Belinda Reed were the three people who put this together, the first restorative justice conference in Maryland. And I had signed up to go because I was working on my PhD in conflict resolution and in restorative justice. but I had to defend my dissertation in November of 2006, and which is when the conference was, and I just could not go because I was in that. If anybody has that, I was in that mode. So I didn't get to go. I was one of those people who had their badge sitting there and I never went and picked it up. But Belinda had reached out to me and I became part of the organizing group for the 2008 conference. So what was it like? I mean, really things, I came to restorative justice through community mediation, which is a form of mediation, which is very, it centers self-determination. And so I think that restorative justice is very much like that. And I use the word justice because I teach in the criminal justice part of our program. So that's kind of what my orientation to it. But it was just beginning, and really those three folks were really the founding parents, if you will, of at least from my point of view, of the work in Maryland.
Thank you. Kathy, want to share? Back in 2006?
In 2006, I was not part of it. Charles Tracy, one of the people who started it, was my mentor, and I worked with him, under him, at the Mediation and Conflict Resolution Center in Howard County. And so I came to it through mediation as well. And let's see, the 2006 conference happened, and then I was in it by 2008 also, like Jen. And then we would have it every other year since, until COVID. And you talked about me sharing the story about what drew me in.
Yes.
As the director, we had a partnership with Community Mediation Maryland that was doing some groundbreaking research and it was grant funded with the detention center. And what they were trying to prove was that, or hoping to prove, was that if you offer excellent quality mediation services to people who are justice involved, who are incarcerated, before they re-enter community or leave being incarcerated, that they would have less chance of recidivating, which means they're less likely to do the same thing and go right back. And we were seeing that everywhere, and no one was able to kind of find, it's still a struggle, ways to make improvements, what will really help folks not to recidivate. So their research did prove that that mediation helped if you got it before you re-entered community. For me, we would go there and with volunteers once a month, and we'd meet with 20 to 30 folks who were currently incarcerated at that time, who were going to be leaving and re-entering our community, and we would offer this service. And when we gathered the statistics at the end of each year, I had to put it in our annual report. Each year, for several years in a row, I would see, in answer to the question, how old were you when you first got involved in maybe crossing a line into something that wasn't legal, or sort of not following rules of a group that you're involved in. And it was about 85% of the time, people were saying it all started with a suspension in middle school. And that just hit my heart. It just hit me, and I kind of would ruminate about it. And then I thought, well, we really need to get to people before they get there. And at the same time, the school to prison pipeline was becoming well known, and we were realizing that when we start with punitive consequences early on, that it exponentially expanded the chance that the individuals would have poor outcomes in life, including not graduating from high school, using drugs or alcohol, various things like that, and possibly becoming incarcerated. So we reached out, the center in Howard County at the time, we reached out to public schools in Howard County and offered mediation services with the juveniles, and we quickly shifted to restorative justice services. Restorative practices is what we called it. That seemed to be what worked in schools at the time, and still I would say does. So I was there doing that. We had 21 schools we partnered with before this position opened in Anne Arundel County, and this is it is sort of my calling. This is what I want to do, is decrease middle school suspensions. Like it gets down to that. So I've been in Anne Arundel County now 9 years, and we are making a lot of progress. And it's huge. So we have 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Well worth the work. So that's my story.
I love it. Thank you very much. Jen, do you have something, a real quick story about how you came, what drew you to restorative justice?
Well, really, like I said, through community mediation and the idea that we are the experts in our own lives. And that, I mean, that's a core principle of community mediation as well as restorative practices, that we do not need experts to come and tell us to fix our problems, that we as human beings have the capacity to fix our own problems when given the right venue. And I believe that in my heart of hearts, especially working in a huge bureaucratic organization, part of the state of Maryland, a public university, I think that we do not need experts, that we are the experts in our own lives. And so that's what's kind of led me all this way.
Lovely. Thank you both. Okay, the next question. In 2006, now neither of you organized this, so maybe you cannot answer the question. But back in 2006, things were pretty early in the movement. And I think each of you said that by 2008, you were both involved. So tell me what the people who did organize the first CRI conference, why was there like a emptiness there? Did they see an opportunity? Take me back to that time.
You want to start, Kath, since you knew Charles so well? You want me to start? Okay. Really, I mean, I was doing my graduate work, and I came at it through how do we use conflict resolution principles in the criminal justice system, before the criminal justice system. So as a way to divert, as a way, once we're in it, how do we actually solve the problems? Because so much crime comes from conflict, and in a sense, crime often is a form of conflict in a sense. So I was really coming at it that way. I was really excited when I saw the information about the conference in 2006 that I would be able to meet other people in Maryland who were thinking the same way that I was. And as I said, I wasn't able to go. But I was so excited to get asked to be part of the conference committee for 2008. And at that time, it was actually put on by the Association for Conflict Resolution Maryland chapter, because CRI didn't exist yet. So we were really coming at it as restorative justice as a form of conflict resolution.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's well said. And that's how I came at it too, because I was in a conflict resolution center. And for me, I wasn't there in 2006, but once I got involved, I was gobbling up all sorts of reading, all sorts of statistics and studies and things like that. And it was just obvious that there was interest around this. And we knew what we were doing wasn't working. Like, so it was sort of both those things. I know in both Howard and Anne Arundel, once it was an option for people, it was much harder to slow the demand than it was. We just constantly had new schools, new people, new organizations saying, hey, we want to hear more about RJ. So that was what sort of made me know there was interest.
And the CRI conference has been focused on restorative justice or restorative practices since maybe just after that, 2010, maybe?
Since 2006, the people who did that really were focused on it. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
Right.
see. Okay.
But they were just coming out of it like from, it was actually the Association of Conflict Resolution Maryland chapter that was the sponsor. If that makes sense. But
Gotcha.
they had their hearts in the restorative.
We needed something,
Yeah.
they needed. So Dr. Charles Tracy was from California, and he had been a criminal justice professor, I think at University of Seattle. No, that wouldn't be California, the West Coast. Anyway, then he came, when he came east and he became involved in this group, restorative justice was something he was already talking about. Maryland wasn't so much talking about it, but he was. And he knew Belinda Reed, and Betty Hoover came at it through Quaker conflict resolution. So that was an interesting piece too. And the Quaker community and the Mennonite community, especially Mennonites, are really big in the beginning of conflict resolution in the US. They sponsored things, they did grants. And it's my understanding, I'm not a Quaker or a Mennonite, but it's my understanding that at least with Mennonites, there's a requirement not just to not do bad or cause conflict, but also to actually proactively prevent conflict. And this was how they were living their religious principles and faith, right? So it's been interesting to watch that too. And in the beginning, I was surprised, but I'm not anymore. Central Mennonite University is very involved, and in the early grants in New York City, where people were learning that you don't need experts to come in and tell you what's the best for your life. You can do it yourselves. That was all Mennonite and conflict. And then after a while, there were other large grantors that came in.
That's wonderful. I did not know that piece of history. So let me take us up to today or ahead to November 14th, when the CRI's whatever number conference this is, our 8th Restorative Justice Conference is what I have here. And I don't know if that's actually true or not, but on November 14th, we'll be meeting in Bel Air, Maryland at the campus of Towson University. What is it, Jen? Towson University Northeast. Tune is
Right.
what is
So
the
Tune is what we call it. Yeah, TUNE.
And special, massive call out to Towson University for hosting us.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, just such a treat for us to be able to do that. So what I would like for us to do now is to just kind of take a quick look at the invitation or the registration form. This just so you all know, if you do click or if you go to the QR code that's there, this is what will come up on your screen, the CRI conference. And we have registration information here. You can register right here. I wanted to let you all know that the reason that I think this is such a worthwhile topic for the Restorative Approaches website or webinar is that for $100, you get a full day of learning from experts. And these are people who have been working in restorative for a very long time. We had to turn down a number of presentation offers of people who were, we just had such a wonderful response. So I'm going to go to the schedule so that you can see a little bit about who we have here. And Kathy, would you like to talk with us a little bit about who our keynote speaker is?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about the keynote speaker just for a minute. Her name is Rosalind Harmon, and she is from St. Paul, Minnesota. She has worked in the Dispute Resolution Center there as executive director for years. She's currently the mayor of a suburb called Golden Valley, first woman of color and to be the mayor there. So really exciting about that. She works in systemic change. That's when she looks back over her career. She's done a lot of things trying to change our systems, and she uses restorative frameworks to help repair harm for communities, in schools, in organizations, and in businesses. And her keynote speech is going to be Restoration as Resistance, Reclaiming Justice, Healing, and Power Across Systems. So we're really excited to see her. She was highly recommended by Nancy Riesenberg, who's a well-known RJ author. We're really very, very excited to welcome her to the conference.
Wonderful, thank you. And then just looking at the schedule that we have here, you'll see that we have that our keynote speaker, and if you click on it, you'll see some description that automatically pulls down. But then you'll see that at 10 a.m. you have 4 different choices that you can go to. 11:10, same thing. We'll have lunch. And then going to the next 2 time blocks of opportunities to learn from each of these wonderful people. It is very exciting. And I will say that it's an honor for me also to be able to present at the conference. So I'll be there in the afternoon to share my experience and engage with other people who have at least as much experience and sometimes more experience even than I. So if you're interested in learning from experts, with experts, or if you're just interested in kind of being immersed in a restorative environment, highly recommend that you consider joining us. And please use the QR code there. Jen or Kathy, is there anything else that you would like to say about the schedule or anything about the conference?
We are just really excited to have people back in person in 3D again, because our last in-person conference was actually 2018. And then we all know what happened in 2020, why we didn't have the conference then. And so we're just so excited to be back in person, and I'm just looking forward to it. It's always been such, I don't know, I don't know what the right word is, such a great space to be in.
Kathy,
I
any
agree.
words?
No, I just agree with what Jen said. And it's also, Tune is located, the conference is at Towson's University Northeast campus. And when you go there, it's a bit of a drive, but when you're there, it's a wonderful place in terms of it's just peaceful and it's sort of like a place apart. And I think it's perfect for a conference like this.
And I believe there are, if people want to stay overnight, if the distance is a little bit too far, there's a Hilton Garden Inn that we have a special
That's
rate.
right.
Is that right?
Yes, and that information is also on the website, so you can get that special rate.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, we are almost out of time. As always happens, this time just goes so quickly for me, but is there anything that either of you would like to share just in general about CRI, about the conference, about restorative, the work that you are called to do and the reason that we brought you here? Anything, any words of wisdom?
We
Well,
want to meet you.
yeah, we definitely want to meet you. And if we can't meet you on the 14th, we would love to meet you at a CRI meeting. We meet monthly,
Yes.
and we
Yep.
do other events between the years of the conference. So you
Mhm.
can
We'd love
definitely
to have
reach
you
out
with
to
us.
Nancy, who is our fearless leader at the moment, and we will get you on the mailing list.
Thank
And just so I'll just put my screen, my contact information there on this screen, and wanted to let you know, I try to end each one of our webinars by a shameless plug for the next one. And my shameless plug this time is that on December 3rd, we will be doing a webinar, and the focus is on our restorative peer mediation, which we have trained in 5 counties and actually with Baltimore City, so 6 locations. And it's really just such an exciting opportunity, I think, both for training students to resolve their conflicts and conflicts with their peers, but also as a way to help integrate restorative into your culture in your schools. So join us on the 3rd of December and learn a little bit more. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see everybody. And just thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us. And thank you, Kathy and Jen. Take care.